Hi everyone, I'm Dawn of the World and I'm here today to shine a light on One Piece chapter 1030, The Impermanence of Death. The impermanence of everything, but you know, potato, tomato. Let's dive right on into it. But before we do dive on right into it, I want to say a big thank you and welcome to all of the new people, which is probably the majority of you, because thanks to Liam, there's quite a lot of you here now, so hello. And thanks again, Liam, for featuring my little video on your channel. And let's just dive right into the chapter. So as we all might recall, very recently in chapter 1029, Oda made quite the controversial decision, of which a lot of people weren't a fan, to have Sanji mid-existential crisis flee his battle with Queen. I defended that, and I still do, and I just think it was a good choice for his character and it made a lot of sense. However, as a writer, Oda makes a lot of decisions and I can't defend them all. So let's cut to the chase. Oda's greatest flaw as a writer is, say it with me, fake deaths. You could argue that this was the perfect chapter for Halloween. I need a costume. You could argue that this was a perfect chapter for Halloween, bringing characters back from the dead. Spooky. I don't know if a banana is particularly spooky, but you know, you get what you get. I even briefly spoke about Kinemon as though he were dead in my reunions video, which in hindsight was quite stupid and rookie error of me. And now I'm in somewhat a spot of conflict because I like Kinemon and I like Kiku and I'm glad they aren't dead. But if they aren't dead, then Oda, why'd you make it seem like they were? Back in chapter 1013, they had a heartbreaking yet beautifully written send-off. In fact, Kiku's last words had Queen Otohime finality about them, and Kinemon's flashbacks with Momonosuke were so gut-wrenching. This, combined with Yasue's death earlier in the arc, which maybe now I'm also questioning, had me actually flirting with the idea that these characters were actually dead, deceased, ex-characters. And now they're back! It was like Oprah that one time with the cars, but instead of giving out cars, it was mortal wounds. But Oda, my man, if you weren't gonna kill them off, then why give them such a moving send-off? Like, of course this isn't the first example of Oda having done this in the series, and I really should have seen it coming this time. It's his story, he can do what he wants. Sorry. My chair was hidden. It's his story, he can do what he wants, but the fake deaths, man, you gotta commit or you gotta don't. Because death doth lose its sting. I don't have a problem with characters not dying, but when Oda goes out of his way to make it seem like a character is saying their final words and then reveal that they didn't actually die, and then he does that multiple times in the series, then yeah. This means that in the rare instance a character does actually die, instead of mourning that character with the rest of the cast when we're supposed to, a number of us are just sat there like, is he dead? Is he really? I don't know if I'm convinced. It's become a boy who cried pirate scenario. If Pedro turns out to actually not be dead, that would just be the worst. I mean, may he rest in peace and all that jazz, but yeah, don't be afraid to kill your darlings, Oda. I mean, I say that now, but if he does end up killing Usopp for real at the end of the series, like some people are theorizing, I'm gonna cry like a little Ultimately, though, disappointed but not surprised. I'm just gonna let this run its course. At this point, Oda's clearly gonna let these characters survive, so in this case, I just wish he'd made that scene in chapter 1013 a little less deathy. This also means that Kanjuro is still alive as well. In fact, he's out here living his best, bleeding outiest, fire ghost summoning us to life. Yeah, remember that pesky fire that keeps being referenced in every chapter? Well, it has a face now. It's clearly going to be used either to deposit all of the characters into the same location, or it's going to reach the weapons cache and kaboom. Or, you know, maybe both, because stuff can be two things. Put on a little fireworks display for the citizens down in Flower Capital. Maybe even include them in the blast. If this bomb is anything like the Alabaster bomb was, then is there really much to worry about? I mean, I say that and it'll kill half of everyone you watch. Speaking of, it can't be long now before Onigashima reaches the Flower Capital. Just a few chapters back it was 5 minutes away, and how much time has passed since then, hey? It's always hard to tell because everything is all happening at the same time. Anyway, Kinemon's legs were a real blast from the past. Shout out to all you OG Kinemon fans who just knew him as Luffy's hind legs, and they seem to have assigned Usopp with the mission of going to aid the undead. I think what they really need is a doctor, which Usopp Usopp is not, though I guess he's better than nothing. He will likely provide help through another means. I don't believe he's had a proper fight or a true big Usopp moment yet during the Onigashima raid, and this could be leading into that. Though Kanjuro is still basically nearly dead, and that won't be much of a fight, but maybe he'll fight that big fire boy. I also want to shout out to my guy Usopp here for how he keeps getting buddy-buddy with the weird-looking smile users. Remember the crocodile guy from a few chapters back? What happened to him? What happened to him, Usopp? Why'd you replace him with Giraffe Guy? I gotta say though, when pre-time skip Luffy went through his do you poop phase, he really was ahead of the game, because now I wonder that every single day about some of these wonderful new smile fruit users. This Giraffe Guy, for example, when he poops, from what point does it exit his body? Does it come from here or here? Or do they just share the poop? Poop share. You've heard of ride share, now get ready for poop share. Anyway, that was dumb. I feel like I'm navigating this chapter in a truly haphazard way because I'm now going to talk about the first couple of pages before wrapping up with the last couple. I promise I will keep it straightforward from here. Anyway, you know how furries have their fursonas? Do you ever think about how X-Drake is literally Drake's pirate sona? The truth has gotten out that X-Drake is not a real pirate and he's just a marine cosplaying as one, and despite this, the chapter opened with Apu trying to get buddy-buddy with him. Interesting getting to know Apu's character and motives a bit better and seeing that he's willing to fight alongside a marine when it's mutually beneficial. A pretty smart move in my opinion. Drake doesn't seem too keen, which I like because I want him to be friends with Luffy. I found it particularly interesting though how Apu's talking about swooping in and stealing victory at the last moment. Just like that seagull at the beach a few months ago who, unplagued by the fear of God, swooped down and stole a potato wedge from right out of my hand as I was about to place it in my mouth. Because this is what you get when you're in Australia. I think this swooping in and stealing delicious victory could possibly happen, but I don't think it'll be Apu doing the swooping. This would be a scenario where the raid doesn't fail, but the victory of Luffy and his allies is stolen at the last moment by an intervening third party, who from what we've seen are already poised and ready to strike. And what Apu's saying is true. The winner isn't going to come out unscathed, and if we remember correctly, it's been heavily implied that at the end of this fight, Zoro will likely be the worst for wear that he's ever been since Thriller Bark, and Luffy likely won't be all that much better off, not to mention the injuries and fatigue everyone else may sustain, and Kiku might not be dead anymore, but she's still close to. Once Kaido and Big Mom are defeated, I doubt there'll be many Straw Hats and allies left who are at full enough strength to take on the uninjured, fully energized might of a powerful third party. It was really cool to see this teamwork between Kid and Law, and interesting that Awakening has now come up and is on the table. This makes me wonder as well if Luffy has already awakened Awakening, or unlocked Awakening if you prefer it like that. And we haven't seen him use it yet, but it's there, just like Gear's second and third during Enna's lobby. I guess if he had unlocked it, he might have used it by now. Either way, Awakened Gomu Gomu is definitely something we can expect in the relatively near future. Do you think it'll be like a gear, like the final gear? Or do you think he'll class it as something separate entirely? And do you think this will be enough to defeat Big Mom, or do you think she'll be back and extra angry real soon? I think she'll be back and also angry. Anyway, thank you once again for joining me in this journey. Feel free to come say hi in the comment section below. I'm Dawn of the World, and I will see you next time. Later, guys.